Have you ever wondered what makes incredibly talented people get noticed, promoted, and invited to bigger opportunities? And then what happens when other talented people get overlooked? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I have the incredible opportunity to learn right along with you from leaders like my guest today. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, a portfolio career network where we are focused on women in the second half of our careers, landing board roles, expanding businesses, and driving the AI conversation. Join us at hercsuite.com and find out more. Today's guest is Uma Subramanian, and she has spent 20 years at Microsoft and now is helping professionals become recognized, not only doing the work, but building the kind of visibility, influence, and leadership presence that opens new doors. We're going to talk about our upcoming book and more. Let's get started with this conversation now. Uma, I am so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on my show. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Awesome. Wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Natalie.
I can't wait for us to dive into this information because I know it's going to help a lot of people listening to think about their careers and what they can do different. But before we get started, I always like to ask one question, which is give us a little snapshot of your life, your career, and what's bringing us to this moment today.
So I started my career at Microsoft in 2001 in Seattle after a 20 incredible years of being in the developer community space and developer education at Microsoft. I moved to a tech startup for a year. And after that, I quit the tech startup. That's a different story, but ended up starting my own company, which is Limitless Leaders, where now we help emerging leaders build visibility and influence and become sought after.
What did you see in that transition starting your company? Because I did the same thing. I was in my career for a little longer than you, but very different than what I do now. And there's this moment where it's really you kind of look around and you're like, wow, this is different. What was that like for you when you started?
So the reason I started was I realized what leadership can do. I saw that if there was great leadership and the environment was great, really elevated the people were motivated, doing great things. And then if the leadership wasn't great, people felt diminished. There was low morale and not so much results as well as a mess in the work environment. And so when I decided that I will start my own thing, that's what stuck with me. Leadership makes so much difference, and great leaders elevate people, and poor leaders diminish people.
In the 20 years that you were in a very big, one of the biggest known technology companies, what did it look like for you? You must have had some great leaders that were helping you. And was there one that stuck out, or is there a story that stood out to you that kind of inspired you?
Definitely, I think it's not one story. I think it's several stories. But definitely, I'll talk about one of my skip level leaders. He was the first skip level manager I had. He came to me 3 times saying, Uma, you should take up the manager role before I saw any kind of managerial, abilities or interest in me. And every time he would come and ask me when there was an opportunity open, I'd be like, no, I want to be technical and I want to, I don't think I'm that manager material. And I kept saying no, but the third time I took it. So the first thing I would say is what I learned from that is great leaders are able to see things before even the individuals can see themselves. And so that was a great lesson and a great reminder for me as I became a manager and leader. Even if our people are not seeing themselves in a certain way, it's our responsibility to see that and encourage that and give those opportunities to them. Also, when I became a manager, I struggled. I was a super high performer, but as a first time manager, it's a totally different skill set, as you would know. And so I struggled with it. And his belief in me was unshakable during that time.
It sounds like he was really, and probably still is, an amazing leader. you've obviously observed the opposite. So, not to pinpoint anything, but what are some examples that you might have observed or heard about from people you work with that's the opposite of that amazing story you just shared?
Yeah. So the opposite is when managers micromanage or distrust, create an environment of distrust or create an environment of control and create an environment of fear. Everyone's under some kind of perceived threat and controlled by the leader. So that's kind of what I have experienced slightly in the tech startup towards the end. And I have heard stories from my own family and friends and colleagues of different teams that they've been in and the stories that comes with it. But I think that's really the root cause is when leaders don't lead from love and care and accountability and focus on the mission. If they are leading from a place of fear and control, that's where I think that things start to go.
I'm imagining that an organization that has a big infrastructure, you're going to have the two types, obviously, and maybe something in the middle as well. But there's always a reason behind that fear that the person is imparting on others. They may have their own doubts. They're getting pressure from their leader. Why are you not performing? Why? And they don't have an answer for it. So they're just kind of trickle down kind of pressure. For the leader that, or emerging leader that's listening today and thinking, yes, I'm in that environment. How can I support that person? And maybe there's a conversation that you can have because you don't want to leave your job. Most people today are not looking to make this big shift because of the environment we're in. What could they say that might open the door for a candid conversation, authentic conversation? And the leader might be like, oh, I'm so glad you're the first person to ask me that. What would you say to them?
I really like the nonviolent communication formula for something like this for your audience. If they're not familiar, it is very simple, going and having a very direct conversation with the person that you want to have a difficult conversation with and telling them how you feel, how it's impacting you, what you need from them, and why it is really important. It's just a four-part formula. I've also written about it multiple times on my LinkedIn posts so people can check it out. Using a formula like that is super critical. In my example, that didn't work because that person was the founder and CEO of the company. So I couldn't make it work. But yes, typically I would not, encourage people to resign and quit.
Hey, it's Natalie, and I wanted to pop in and give you a personal invitation. We are hosting a special program for women wanting to land a corporate board role this year. It all happens on May 29th at LinkedIn, and it's a small group of women. We will walk you through in an accelerated day. I hope if you are planning to get on a board this year, but you feel a little stuck, this program is for you. Check out the link in the show notes and let's get back to this conversation now. You said a skip leader. Is that different than a sponsor? Can you help our listeners who might not know that term? Because I'm curious about that.
So your skip level manager is your manager's manager. So direct line of management, but just second level manager.
Yeah, I've not heard that before, but that is exactly like a sponsor in my brain is you want to go above the person that you report to and they're the ones advocating in the room. So it sounds like that's what was happening with this person. He was, listen, I've advocated 3 times. Come on now, let's go. So that's really awesome. So all your experiences combined led you to start writing a book. What has that been like for you?
When I started Limitless Leaders, my whole thinking was I have to help leaders become great. And that's what I set out to do. So I was helping emerging leaders become great at what they do. But as I started doing that, I realized being great is not enough. I saw brilliant, hardworking people. They were doing everything right. But in spite of doing all that, they were not getting the opportunities, they were not getting recognized. I saw that often happening with some of my clients as well as just people around me. And then when I looked back, at even my own career and, my colleagues in the past. And that's when I saw it's not enough just to do great work. Because on the other side, I also saw very few people, they were just getting invited to the big opportunities. They were, getting promotions, they were getting the recognition. And so that made me study both the groups. And I was able to see a very clear pattern. Great is just the baseline. You have to be great, but there are a few more things that you have to do on top of being great to become sought after. And that's how I got the sought after term. And I realized, we want to not just be great, but we want to position ourselves, we want to be seen as someone that is highly relevant, in demand, and we are the ones that, people turn to and trust and, invite into bigger rooms and bigger opportunities. And so the book is about that, and it's going to come out in May or June of 2026. And also, my whole coaching philosophy has been helping my amazing, talented, brilliant, hardworking clients become sought after. And we're seeing amazing results. They're getting awards, they're getting recognition, they're getting the opportunities. And so it's been really fulfilling.
I can imagine it must be so wonderful to see them kind of, I don't want to use the word graduate, but move into that phase of getting that recognition and the visibility. What are some of the things that are different between the two groups? What did you see?
I saw that this group of people, the sought after leaders, they think differently, they behave differently, they're doing great work, but on top of that, just the way they look at opportunities, look at, the problems that are happening in the organization. So instead of being confined to their role or the responsibilities, these leaders are connecting the dots. They are looking at what truly moves the organization forward, and they're playing in that edge space of, really strategic space where there is a lot of value being created. The second thing is they're also communicating their impact very clearly. They're not self promoting themselves, they're not chasing after visibility. That was one of the things that I was very curious to see. That's not what they're doing. So these are not people without substance running after, visibility or self promotion, but these are people doing amazing work, but they also know that leadership has to be seen to be rewarded. So they make sure that their value is seen and understood and trusted. So they communicate very clearly their impact and make sure that they are in the right rooms and in front of the right people. They also make sure that their brand as a leadership brand is not just happening unintentionally. They're very strategic about how their brand is being perceived. And last but not the least, they also build great relationships at all levels. You talked about sponsors, Natalie. These are people that are doing great things and communicating the impact, and they're earning and building trust with sponsors. They have great relationships with people, in and around the company. And so when there's big decisions are made, when big opportunities show up, there are people that are, bringing up their name even when these people are not in the room, because they have seen how these leaders lead and how they can shape the future. These leaders are also very future focused, not past or present focused, but very future focused. So they are already thinking about, where the organization should go next. So those are some of the things that are really helping these people show up, differently and get different results.
As you're describing this person or these people that are achieving at that rate, I'm wondering how they learn to do that. So I come from a sales background. So the things that you're describing, that's natural. And I don't know if it's natural or not, but it's something that you're doing that because that's kind of the role that you're in, right? You're making relationships and fostering that, and that's part of what you're doing. But in the tech side of things, if you are an engineer or on the tech team, that may be outside of what you do in your day to day. What made them understand or seek, or how did they think differently to do that? Because I'm just curious, because that's really fascinating to me.
I'll take my own example. I've had elements of this that I have lived in my own career. And in my journey, I picked up Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill when I was a teenager. And that just put me on the right track, realizing that success is not something that is only reserved to a few people, but it is available to anyone that is willing to take ownership of that through their mindset, vision, and how they act, and through taking a massive action. So that kind of put me on that path right from the beginning. When I started Microsoft, I came with that mindset. Even though I was not interested in the managerial position, like I thought that was not me, but I took ownership right from the beginning, and I played in that edge space throughout my career. And my, performance reviews and all of that kind of show that. So that is one thing, like in my own career, it's been me taking that initiative just throughout and taking ownership. Like in my one of my very, very early projects, we had worked on a cross group engineering tool, and I thought I had done the bulk of the work. But in a meeting, the first time we demoed it to a larger organization, one of my peers ended up showcasing the demo and running the whole thing. And then he also threw me under the bus. I was just crushed in that meeting, and I'm not super extroverted person. So I just ended up like staying silent in that meeting and really was frustrated. But I took that as a lesson. After that, I was like, cannot let this happen ever again. I made a decision that my story, my narrative, I'm not going to let anyone else control it. I'm going to take ownership of that. And so it's just learning from everything that's happening. So if things happen that are not satisfying to me, that are frustrating me, I just don't accept it that that's how it should be. I reflect on that, and then I take the lesson, and then I make a decision or I learn, like I go and, learn how to resolve that. So that's kind of been my journey, is learning from circumstances and situations and then improving. I interviewed a bunch of really successful tech leaders that I have seen in my journey as people that really, really did well. I mean, like 100x better than me. And so I interviewed them for the book, and what I saw and what I heard from them is also these types of things. Is they took ownership, they showed up. But these are in general people that are very highly coachable, continuously learning, adaptable people that I think just learned the lessons and kept adapting and growing themselves.
I just love this conversation. I could talk to you all day. This is hard to let you go. I'm sure our audience wants to know more about you and the book you have coming out, which we will share a link. And I know on your website you can pre-order and things like that. But where's the best place, Uma, to find you?
LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn every day, so I think that's the best place.
Perfect. We will have your LinkedIn, and I will have a link also to your book because I think that's important. We want to cheer you on and support you and read all that you're doing. So congratulations for all the things that you've been up to. I can't wait to keep watching you shine your light bright out in the world. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It's been an honor.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to listen and think about all the ways that amazing leaders progress. And if you're not where you want to go, start applying the advice that Uma shared today. As always, I would really appreciate it if you would rate and review the show. It's how others find us. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.